and welcome to the Data Automator webinar, part of our 14-minute webinar series. My name is Peter Whaley, and I'm joined today by Adrian, who's helping me on the Data Automator demonstration. And as I mentioned, this is part of the 14-minute webinar series. So in the series, as you will know if you've seen our previous webinars, we discuss either the key problems or we look at some opportunities to solve, and we'll do a brief demonstration as well. As with all of our PlusSoft solutions, if you see value, you can trial. Now, the webinar is listen only, but you can send us any questions using the chat box. Just hover your mouse at the bottom of the screen and you'll find that chat box. And of course, it's recorded, so you will get a copy of this as well. If you don't know what Data Automator is all about, it's an application that we designed here at PlusSoftware that allows you to set up automatic imports and exports into and out of the accounting system. And you'll see why that's useful on the next slide as well. So welcome, Adrian. Good to be here. Let's get moving. So these are some of the key problems we solve with Data Automator. Just reading from the left, the key problems. The reality is the total cost of ownership of a financial solution is just never ending. And that's because, amongst many other things, there's always an evolving bunch of imports and exports that need to, as I mentioned before, come into and out of the accounting system. And Data Automator solves that problem because it will automatically bring those imports into the accounting system, those known imports, but it will also solve future unknown imports and exports as well, and all at the same cost. The other reality is that it costs a lot of time to set up these imports and exports. Often these are once-off imports and exports, but Data Automator solves that problem as well because once it's set up for life. Then there's also a problem sometimes with the ability to set up these imports and exports out of hours, 10 o'clock at night, on a Saturday morning, whenever it is. Once again, Data Automator will show you how we solve this ability to set scheduling into imports and exports. And then, of course, if you're doing this as a once-off, well, to get this in the form of a custom integration is costly. You don't need to do that with Data Automator. So maybe we'll give you, just quickly bringing Adrian into the conversation. Adrian, I guess the question is, give us some real life examples on how people would use Data Automator to tweak some ideas.
Sure, thanks, Pete. So we've got a couple clients here that have advanced ordering systems. So they get a view of all the things that need to be ordered, whether it is a purchase order, a sales order, or assembly or something like that. But there's a gap between this system and their business system. So they want for this information to flow automatically into their business system. So that's where Data Automator comes in. You can set up rules that link these two pieces of software together automatically without any other user interaction. We also have another example where one of our clients has an online store. They have a range of different products, and obviously it produces sales orders. Those sales orders, on their side, they've developed a way for those files to come down to their server, but they need to get into the business system as well. So they're put into a folder where Data Automator will scan for and grab those files and automatically import those sales orders into the business system.
Okay, so I mean, those are just two examples. Obviously, you know, the quickest way to decide if Data Automator can work for you is we help our partners and customers by having a brief conversation about your needs, and we can determine whether you can trial it. So we'll show you that in the summary at the end of it. Adrian, let's hop into the actual software and give a brief demonstration on how to add an import and how to add an export. Just enlarge that for us and let's go for it. Over to you.
Sure. So this is the application here. As a starting point, it's a Windows program that you install onto a server somewhere. So it should be somewhere that is always on or always running, so it can pick up the files at any time of the day. There's a little bit of configuration that needs to go on. I'll quickly go through some of those now. Underneath the Settings tab, we have a Settings button here. We've got a few different things here that we can configure. We've connected this to a Vision database. So for initial configuration, you need to put in the SQL database details. We also have a couple fields here called success files and failed files. So when Automator goes through and imports the file, if there's any issues with the file, Vision may return an error or something like that because it's not a valid product or something like that. Automator can put those files automatically into a directory that you specify. Likewise, if the file works correctly, it can go into a different directory. So you can have these split off into different directories so you can handle them differently if there are any issues. So that's just that window there. I'll come across to the import window now. I'll show you what it looks like to add a new import rule. First of all, you add the item name. So this can be something specific to what you're importing, whether it's sales orders or assembly or something like that. So you just put in a bit of a string there. You've got the different item types here. So these are the different import types that we have available. So if you're looking to do an import of an assembly, you pick assembly. We have things like cash book, job estimates, journals, products. So we have a range of different things. So as well as, you know, the transactions that we have there, such as sales, orders and invoices, we also have source information. So if the product, if you're wanting to sync customers or products or some sort of source data, you can sync those as well. So it's not just limited to transaction, you also can be source data as well. You then specify either a single file, so if it's coming from one file, you can specify that, or you can specify a folder. So if all of your files get put into one folder, you can scan through and pick those up. There's a few different formats we support. We support XML files. We have example files for each one of those different item types. But we can also connect it up to an Excel file, a CSV file, or even an SQL source if you like. So I'll just show you what the file mapping looks like. So I've connected this up to an Excel file here. And what you do is you specify on the left-hand side here the columns of the Excel file and how they link to the destination. So we've got reference going to reference, transaction date going to transaction date, etc. It also works with custom fields, so you're not just limited to the fields in Vision just on, you know, the main screen. You can also add in custom fields in Vision and link them to that. So I've got two examples here. They're both sales orders. One's an XML source and one's an Excel file. Once the file has been put in there, you can run these on demand. So we have run all or run just a single one. So I'm just going to run just this first one here. Automator will go pick up that XML file, read through the data that's in it, and then insert it straight into the business system. So we've got here a sales order has been created, new sales order record number 5, and it also says that the file has been moved to my success folder. So that says that the file was imported successfully, it's been moved to the success file, so it's all good. Likewise with the Excel, it'll do the same thing. It'll run through, pick up the file, look through the rows in the Excel file and import it. I'll just quickly go over to the exporting rules now. Exporting is a similar process. You add in a name, you specify the type. We have a few different types you can export out. So you can export out customers, products, product quantities, that sort of thing. And then you specify the folder in which you want these to export out as. These export out as an XML file. I'll just run this one here. This exports out all of the customers, so you can see that this file has been created successfully on my desktop and it contains all of the different customers. Over in the settings, you can have a look at all the different XML file formats. So for example, customers would look like this. So we have, in this case, it's just the one customer. But you can see all the different columns that we have available. So it goes through and finds all of the columns that are in a customer. Also has the custom fields if you have any. So they're all there available as well. So this actually is used for both importing and exporting. The files are pretty much exactly the same. Just quickly show you the scheduling function. In the scheduling function, you can see across an entire month or year. To set up a task, you say new reoccurring task. You can specify what day of the week it happens, or if it's weekly, monthly, or happens every 5 minutes, or whatever you would like. I'll just click OK on that. And then you specify what type it is. So you can specify I want it to import at this time, or I want to export it at this time, or I want a summary notification. And a summary notification is just an email that comes to your inbox and gives you a rundown of what's happened in the last 24 hours. So that's a really, really quick overview of setting up Data Automator, setting up import and export rules, and the scheduling function.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. So Adrian, that will give everyone a pretty good idea. As we head into the last few minutes of the webinar, let's just quickly summarize. It's a very easy download from the Plus Software Solutions website. Once it's set up, it'll obviously save you time and money. It sets up the known imports and exports, but one price fits all. In other words, it'll set up future unknown automations as well. And Adrian mentioned the ability to cater for custom fields as well, and there's scheduling. And Adrian, there's obviously the daily email notification as well. So you can see the success and failure in terms of the automations as well. The one thing I'd quickly like to finish off with, Adrian, is the web API. Maybe just take us through on the website, what that is and who would use the web API for Data Automator.
Sure, so I'm just going to go back to our website here and bring up the information screen for the web API. So one of the examples I had before was a customer has a web store and they'd like that information to be brought into Vision. In their case, they host their web store themselves, therefore they can get the files back into their local network quite easily. The limitation with a lot of other web stores, though, is they're hosted externally. You might have some provider hosting it somewhere on the cloud or on the internet somewhere, and there's no link between that web store and your local server. And then on the other side, business systems like Cyber's Vision work internally. They're on their local network or on the local machine and aren't really exposed to the cloud or to the internet. So what Data Automator can do as well is we provide a web API, and what the web API does is it's basically an endpoint or an API that exposes limited functions from Vision securely across the internet. So it actually uses the same import and export types that we showed before on the desktop version, but exposes them to the internet. So basically, an example that we've got is a client has a wine web store, so they sell wine online, and it's on an external source. So they have a developer on their side which sends the XML file as a string to this web API across the internet and straight into Vision. So it doesn't expose anything critical. You don't have to open up any extra ports or you don't have to break any security rules. It just allows your Vision or your business system to be exposed on the internet, so you can do certain importing rules or exporting rules securely. So in this example, they can send their sales orders across the web straight into their business system without having to setting up any special setup rules and whatnot to get into their local network.
Perfect. All right. So let's finish up on our 14-minute webinar. Thank you very much, Adrian. If you have a need for more automation within your business, then come back to us here at Plus or ask your partner. We would certainly be delighted to help. Or if you're happy to trial, then you can use our 14-day free trial option, which includes support as well. Thereafter, if you're happy, you pay a monthly fee. There's no upfront software cost, and you can cancel anytime. There's only been one question that's come through on this particular webinar, and that is to do with which systems does it work with. It does say on this particular slide, just by pure accident, it works only for Cyber's Vision at this time, but we are developing an option for other systems, so stay out for that. And that is it from myself, Peter Whaley, and Adrian. Thank you so much. Look out for our next webinar in the next 2 weeks. It's on the Plus Software Solutions website, and we will, of course, send you a recording of this as well. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye for now.